Hey guys, Joe and Dave back with you for the final time for Magic Origins at least. We are here to let you guys know what happened with the pre-release decks. We did make the decks, we did play them against each other in some mini matches just to see how they worked out, what they looked like. Here we have the decks laid out. Obviously you can tell which one is which based on the color of the promo card that is on top. But let's get into it. So the first deck we're looking at is the Kytheon deck, or the Gideon deck. We did get Kytheon in here, which is fantastic. The cool thing about the Kytheon deck, it had a good number of flyers. What we ended up doing with the Kytheon deck was we did end up adding red. Red kind of is a theme. 3 of the decks have red in them. Obviously the red deck, the Gideon deck, and the Jace deck all had red in them. The black and the green decks were essentially mono. Were only one color, so the black deck ended up being entirely black with some artifacts. The green deck did have one blue card in it, and we'll talk about it when we get to that deck. But with the Gideon deck, with Gideon in it, we did add red. We did get the Ember Maw Hellion, which was really nice. Big 4/5 creature, trample. It did put up a really good fight for Gideon. The other thing that the Gideon deck had going for it was it had a lot of good flyers. And the flyers were really helpful even against Jace's blue deck. Jace's blue deck had flyers in it, but not enough to beat Gideon's flyers. So in terms of all of the matches that we had, Gideon's deck only won 1 match out of the 4 that it played, and it was against Jace's deck. And like I said, the flyers were able to overtake the flyers. So over to the Jace deck, you have Alhammarret right on top. So kind of surprising that Gideon's flyers were able to overtake Jace's flyers, but with the white and the red, there were a lot of cards in Gideon's deck that could kill cards like Alhammarret and other flyers, and just was able to kind of fly over the top and beat the Jace deck that way. With the Jace deck, Alhammarret was really helpful. The other thing that was really nice is that we got a second Alhammarret in the packs. So, like I said, it was a really strong blue deck. We did add some red in there, so between the blue and the red, there were a lot of ways to get rid of other creatures. So that is the Jace deck. The Jace deck won also only 1 match, and it was against the Liliana deck. So moving on to the Liliana deck. The Liliana deck, we also got the promo foil Planeswalker in that deck, which was really, really cool and really nice. And we, like I said, that deck had artifacts in it among the black, but otherwise it was mono black. The kind of the MVPs of this deck were the Nantuko Husks. It was really nice with the black cards that we got to be able to put cards in the graveyard. It beefed up a lot of our other creatures and our other spells, plus beefing up the Nantuko Husk. Plus, when Liliana came out, if we could sacrifice a creature to Nantuko Husk immediately, she would just immediately flip into a Planeswalker. So that was really helpful, and the Liliana deck also only had 1 win, and that was against the Gideon deck. So these 3 decks kind of did a little bit of a round robin with each other. Liliana beat Gideon, Gideon beat Jace, Jace beat Liliana, and they each only won 1 match. So moving on to obviously the stronger decks. Somebody had to be winners here. The Chandra deck, the red deck. So we have Chandra's Ignition right on top. It was our promo foil. It did a lot of really good work. Chandra's Ignition combined with Prickle Boar. It's a sorcery, so it has to be played on your turn, and as long as it's your turn, Prickle Boar is a 5/0 creature. So using Chandra's Ignition, play Prickle Boar on turn 5, play Chandra's Ignition on turn 6. You use the Prickle Boar to deal 5 damage to each other creature and each opponent. So it's a one-on-one game. So your opponent takes 5 from the Prickle Boar with the Chandra's Ignition on it, and I think every time we used it, it killed all of their creatures. And then you get to turn Prickle Boar sideways and attack with it. So that's 10 damage right off the bat to your opponent on turn 6, kills all their creatures. That was kind of hard to beat. But Chandra's deck did get beat one time. Chandra's deck beat Liliana, Jace, and Gideon. The only loss that Chandra's deck had was to the Nissa deck. The Nissa deck beat everybody. The Nissa deck was completely undefeated. The Nissa deck, Nissa's Revelations right on top. It was super helpful. And to go back to the Chandra deck for a second, it was only red. It did have 3 artifacts in it. It had the Pyromancer's Goggles, because we got so many of those. I don't know how that happened. In all these boxes, we got so many Pyromancer's Goggles. And it had 2 Bonded Constructs. The Chandra deck, besides the Chandra's Ignition, it was just really fast. If you go through here, all the creatures cost not a lot of mana. The Bonded Constructs are only 1. We had a lot of Goblins that cost 1 or 2. So by the time we were able to use Chandra's Ignition, it was pretty much game over to begin with. So yeah, the Chandra deck was extremely fast. As I said, the Nissa deck was just that much better. The Nissa deck had a lot of threats in it. It was mono green, like I said, except it had Yavimaya Coast and a couple of islands. I put in 3 islands along with this Yavimaya Coast to add in the Bounding Krasis. It was the only blue card in the entire deck, and it was still part green, and we were able to get it out every time we saw it. And then otherwise, with Nissa's Revelation, which was really nice, you can reveal the top 5 cards of or scry 5, look at all those cards, put them the way you want, and then reveal the top card. If it's a creature, you draw cards equal to its power, gain life equal to its toughness. It is 7 mana, but as you'll see, the rest of the cards in this deck made it so that really didn't matter. Bounding Krasis, you could play it whenever you want. It has flash, and you could tap or untap a creature. So you could do either a fun block by untapping a big creature that they didn't know you would have been able to do that with, or tap one of their creatures that would have attacked you that turn. We had, if you remember from the box opening, 4 Hitchclaw Recluses. They're 1/4s, they're 3 mana, they can block creatures with flying. These guys were incredible. So they could do quick 1 damage every turn if we attacked with them, or they could just block. The Jace deck had a couple of 2/3 flyers that the 1/4s just shut down every time, and there was nothing they could do about it. And we had 4 of them, so I don't know that there was a single game where we didn't see at least one of these guys. We also had the Sky Snare Spider. So we had a 1/4 spider that could block creatures with flying. We also had a 6/6 spider that could block creatures with flying, and attacking didn't cause it to tap. So it could attack every turn as long as they didn't have something that could kill it. It didn't matter. We could attack with it, kill one of their creatures, or deal them 6 damage, and block with it as well when our turn came back around. We also had big creatures like Rocks Maulers and Outland Colossus, which had Renowned. It would have made the Rocks Maulers a 6/6 if it dealt any damage at all, or the Outland Colossus a 12/12, and it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So those guys were really hard to deal with the little added bonus of the Bounding Recluse, or the Bounding Krasis, excuse me. I'm looking at the Hitchclaw Recluse. With the Bounding Krasis and the Yavimaya Coast, it made this deck just completely unstoppable. Let us know what you think. Did the way that you thought we were going to make the decks with, adding red to the Gideon deck, adding red to the Jace deck, did that was that what you had told us to do? Did you have a better idea? Should any of these 3 decks have done better? I think they should have. Should the Chandra's deck have won out? Which do you think, based on the boxes that you saw us open, which do you think was the best box? Was it the Nissa box? Because now you know that in the actual matches it was. I can tell you, in the Chandra versus Nissa match, the Chandra deck got mana screwed. It did not have enough lands, and unfortunately that does happen in Magic. I thought about going back through and playing another match against the 2, but that's what happened with the Chandra deck. It does happen, and so who knows? Maybe the Chandra deck is better than the Nissa deck, but it didn't get lands that game, and so in that match, the Nissa deck was better. So the Nissa deck is the winner. Second place, Chandra. These 3 are still tied for 3rd. So once again, let us know in the comments what you thought the best deck was. Did we build them the right way? If we built them the wrong way, let us know why. What should we have done differently? Should we have put a different color in any of these? A second color in this deck or in this deck? Let us know. We will see you guys, like I said in the other videos, real soon with some gaming once we get all that stuff fixed up for you. Thank you guys once again for watching. Feel free to subscribe so you'll see when those videos are coming out. And we will see you all real soon. Thanks.